Chapter 171, If I can kill it, why can't I kill it? Real or fake? 10 minutes had passed since the Fire Witch's first kill was announced. Yi Shu's party had finished picking up the drops, while the experts from the guilds were still going crazy over what had happened. 6-level suppression. They only had 4 players, yet they were able to beat a wild boss 6 levels higher than them. What type of skill was that? They lost a first kill? Right now, none of the guilds cared about this. They were acting as if they were normal players and paying their respects to these 4 players' strength. This worshipping lasted for 10 minutes. Only then did everyone return to reality. Lord Grimm. While we were setting a dungeon record, he ran off to kill a wild boss? What does that mean? After staring blankly into space for 10 minutes, Blue River finally spoke. Bound Boat carefully analyzed, if we continued with our previous way of thinking, then could it be that he was showing off his strength to us? Would the first kills for future wild bosses be in his hands as well? Blue River stared blankly. Guilds mainly used dungeon records to show off their strength. However, measuring a guild's strength like this was actually a more comprehensive measurement. After all, this was something snatched directly from fighting other guilds. The result simply proved who was the strongest. But now, they hadn't even begun preparing for it yet and the first kill had already been taken. Besides this, the equipment and materials that dropped from wild bosses were items that every big guild needed. The existence of wild bosses were more important than the existence of any hidden bosses. The items dropped were much more valuable. Wild bosses only respawned 3 times a week. Even if the item they wanted dropped every time, in 1 year, only 156 of them would drop. With millions of players playing the game, how could the value of such a limited supply of items not be seen? They have the strength to fight monsters over 6 levels higher than them. They only have 4 players too, Bound Boat reminded Blue River after seeing his blank stare. After level 30, leveling areas had a range of 3 or 4 levels. Possessing the strength to beat a boss 6 levels higher than them meant that Lord Grimm would always be ahead of them. It meant that he could first kill any wild boss that they didn't dare fight yet simply because he had no opponents. Blue River immediately recognized how serious this issue was. Had Lord Grimm taken the wild boss first kills hostage as well? Blue River couldn't stay silent any longer. He finally decided to have a talk with Lord Grimm. Brother, Blue River sent a message. Here, Yi Shu replied. Congratulations, Blue River felt awkward when he said it. Thank you, Yi Shu obviously knew what Blue River wanted to talk about. Actually, at this moment, Blue River wasn't the only one who was messaging him. Many others had already begun feeling him out. Most of their introductions had started the same way. Brother, you're so strong. You can kill the level 36 Fire Witch at level 30, Blue River said. It wasn't easy. It took us 3 hours, Yi Shu said. Brother, what are you planning on doing in the future? Blue River felt that this question came out a little weird, but he couldn't think of anything better. He had a weird feeling in his heart. He knew what he wanted to say, but he wasn't able to put it into words. What do you mean? Yi Shu replied. Are you going to continue killing bosses like this in the future too? Blue River asked. If I can kill, why not kill? Yi Shu asked in response. Blue River suddenly realized what the crucial part of the problem was and why he wasn't able to put his thoughts into words. It was simply because of this reasoning. If you can do it, why not do it? An extremely ordinary reasoning was a reasoning that couldn't be argued against. If Lord Grimm possessed the strength to kill the boss, then on what basis could others stop him from killing the boss? Was it because if he killed it, they wouldn't be able to? What type of stupid reasoning was that? Couldn't this same reasoning be used for dungeon records too? If Lord Grimm possessed the ability to set a dungeon record, then why shouldn't he? Wasn't this the reason why the system had set up this sort of competition? If the big guilds needed the records to prove their strength, then Lord Grimm wasn't able to go set it? That type of logic was even more ludicrous. Blue River knew why he wasn't able to say anything. It was because Lord Grimm had always been doing what was normal to him. If it was any other player, they would also do the same. If they didn't, then they would be abnormal. Kidnapping. Or maybe Lord Grimm had other intentions. However, he wasn't being immoral. The big guilds wanted him to give up his rights to ensure their own benefits. Setting records and killing wild bosses were all rights that every player had. If Lord Grimm wanted to kill, let him kill. If he didn't want to, then he didn't have to. No one should control him. Right now, the big guilds didn't want him to kill, which was why he put up conditions. After, they said what he was doing was the same as kidnapping. That type of logic was simply unacceptable. If you can kill, why not kill? Simply put, Blue River was killed instantly. It wasn't just him. Others had also probed him out the same way. Yi Shu had replied to them in the same exact way. They all had no response. Many guilds had already begun discussing this issue with each other. This wasn't some overt scheme. They were just sorting out a common issue. Lord Grimm's strength had been displayed for everyone to see. The circumstances were right in front of them. Lord Grimm wasn't doing anything wrong. Everyone could either ignore him or stop him. If they wanted to stop him, then they would either have to give him what he wanted or use force to suppress him. But if they used force, then he could argue, on what basis can you prevent others from setting a record? At this moment, Blue River felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted. It was better than before. After a short pause, he quickly revived and sent a message to Lord Grimm. Brother, what do you think the limit for Desolate Land's record is? Blue River felt that Lord Grimm wasn't unjust, which was why he asked this reasonable question. He didn't believe that Lord Grimm wouldn't answer his question. Probably 2 minutes faster than your record, Yi Shu said. 2 minutes. I don't suggest that you fight for this record. The key to this record is the final boss Toya. Against this boss, my unspecialized character had an overwhelming advantage over the other classes. Even if you guys practiced hard to suppress him, you guys will still be a bit slower. Why? Because we can coordinate as well. However, you guys don't have an unspecialized, Yi Shu said. Okay, it looks like the only option is to pay you to not act then, Blue River said. That works too, Yi Shu said calmly. Okay, brother, what do you want this time? Blue River had already accepted reality. A list of items was sent over. Blue River wasn't surprised looking at it. He didn't hastily negotiate with him either. In any case, he calmly replied, let me think about it. Blue River went offline again and went to the Heavenly Domain. Heavenly Domain's Blue Brook Guild knew that Blue River wouldn't come over if there was nothing important to report, and it usually wasn't any good news. Seeing that he had appeared again, the 4 players who had set the record yesterday froze. The record has already been broken? The Spitfire flying brushstroke was the first to ask. For now, no, Blue River said. Then why'd you come back? To tell you Lord Grimm's conditions, Blue River said. His conditions? What does that mean? The conditions for him to not break our record, Blue River said. Blue Bridge, you're saying that our record would definitely be broken by Lord Grimm. Flying Brushstroke wasn't too happy. He said that he could beat our record by more than 2 minutes. Do you think we can do that? Blue River said. You're going to believe what he says? Yeah, I believe him, Blue River said. F***CK, Flying Brushstroke cursed and sent a speechless emoticon. Changing Spring was too lazy to send messages, so he simply told Blue River to wait outside of the usual dungeon they went to. While Blue River was waiting, Flying Brushstroke had already reported the info to Changing Spring. When they met, Blue River could clearly tell that Changing Spring wasn't happy. What's wrong with you, Blue Bridge? Do you actually want others to treat you like a joke? Changing Spring asked. If we don't ask Lord Grimm to not act, then everyone will look like jokes. There wouldn't be any time to regret it because we wouldn't be able to get the record back, Blue River said. Ha 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 ha, Blue Bridge old friend, you're that scared of this so-called Lord Grimm. Sure enough, Poplar Beach had taken the opportunity to taunt him. I just have a feeling that he's not a bad person, so I'm willing to believe him, Blue River calmly said. He's not a bad person? If he's not a bad person, then why would he go kidnap the records from the big guilds? Poplar Beach laughed coldly. The records don't belong to the big guilds. Where'd you get kidnapping from? Blue River said. Blue Bridge, you, Changing Spring and the others all felt a little strange. Blue River's attitude was different from before. Blue River had previously been angry at Lord Grimm. But after half a day, it seemed like Blue River understood Lord Grimm. Isn't that a solid reason? If you have the ability to set a record, why wouldn't you go and set it? We can't beat the opponent, so this is the only way to take the record, Blue River said. Who says we can't beat him? Flying Brushstroke wasn't happy. Blue Bridge, old friend, but tell me the truth, are you colluding with this Lord Grimm? Poplar Beach suddenly interrupted. Blue River completely ignored him. He didn't think that Changing Spring would doubt him like that. Changing Spring had paused for a while, before saying, Blue Bridge, it seems like you've been working too hard lately. Relax for a bit. This time, hand this dungeon record matter over to us. You're saying, let Poplar Beach substitute for you. The 5 of us are going to set the record, Changing Spring said. Chapter 172, A well thought-out long-term consideration. Changing Spring's decision startled everyone. Substitute was an extremely sensitive word. Everyone knew what Changing Spring meant on the outside, but on the inside, did he mean that, from now on, Blue River's spot as one of the 5 great experts was going to be replaced? From a skill level point of view, Poplar Beach was superior to Blue River. Changing Spring wasn't the only person who saw this. However, the reason why the 5 great experts were great wasn't simply decided on their skill. Blue River was far more popular than Poplar Beach was. However, when Changing Spring suddenly announced his decision, no one approached him to inquire for more information. After all, they were only guessing. They didn't have the willpower to confirm that those were Changing Spring's actual motives. On the other hand, Poplar Beach and his group were, without a doubt, extremely happy. Although they didn't try to assert whether Changing Spring was raising their position, this was at least an important first step. If he replaced Blue River and set a stable record in the 10th server, which Blue River believed wasn't possible, then it would prove who was superior and who was inferior. His name would definitely become more well-known. In addition, Blue River's cowardice caused many to feel dissatisfied with him. He might even be able to win over the supporters of Blue River. Poplar Beach was excited. Just as he was about to go up and declare his position, he heard Blue River calmly say, Lord Grimm and his party, 4 level 30s without a knight nor a cleric, completed the first kill for the Fire Witch. Is that why you're wavering? Changing Spring said. This is more proof of his strength, but more importantly, I suddenly realized that his actions are completely rational. Our selfish actions are the ones that aren't. From a neutral perspective, this is fair competition. Then us setting the record is fair competition too. Of course. But because we need that record, this isn't a good choice, Blue River said. Good or not, we have to try it first. Blue Bridge, do you believe in that Lord Grimm's skill more than ours? Poplar Beach had trouble finding this chance. He was truly afraid that Blue River would successfully convince Changing Spring, so he hastily squeezed into the conversation. Blue River paused for a long time, before saying, skill isn't something that a person can have just by believing. Correct. Seeing how Lord Grimm's group was able to beat a wild boss 6 levels higher than them, Lord Grimm is definitely more skilled than we are, Changing Spring said. However, for a dungeon like Desolate Land, there's a limit to how much skill can be drawn out. I'd even reckon that if a pro team came to this dungeon, we'd be on par with them. If they can do it, we can do it too. Whatever they're able to do that we can't has no effect on this dungeon. You're certainly right. Guild leader, we should go, Poplar Beach said excitedly. Blue Bridge has to help you find a card first. No, Changing Spring said. Oh, Blue Bridge old friend, sorry to trouble you, Poplar Beach laughed. He already had thoughts about showing off in the 10th server yesterday. He had already found an account in the 10th server to use. However, there was no need for him to use it. He might as well let Blue River prepare it. One last thing, Blue River wasn't done yet, Lord Grimm's class is unspecialized. This is a class that we don't have. It's an unknown variable. Even if it's a variable, why do you think that it's a disadvantageous variable? Poplar Beach replied back to Blue River this time, even more so, unspecialized characters aren't something that Lord Grimm invented, right? They were invented way back then. If they really are more advantageous, why hasn't every dungeon record been set by them? Speaking of records, in the record teams of every server, why aren't there any unspecialized characters? If unspecialized characters are so amazing and can set records that others can't break, then why aren't they still popular? Poplar Beach really had done his homework. He had intentionally researched the dungeon records and record teams from every server. Well, it's true that unspecialized characters are from way back then. Blue River's explanation was clearly weakening. Some of the brothers nearby were unable to listen to him any longer. None of them understood why Blue River was being so stubborn. Old Blue, just let it be, someone sent a message. Let the guild leader and them try it out. We can fight it out first. If not, then there'll be other options. Okay, it's settled then. Changing Spring finally said, Blue Bridge, can you prepare another Blade Master? We'll go set it again during the day. Blue River had nothing else to say and could only agree in silence. At 3 o'clock, the 5-man team from the Heavenly Domains Blue Brook Guild appeared once again in the 10th server. Except this time, the Blade Master was Poplar Beach. Flying Brushstroke and the others didn't say anything. They weren't happy about Blue River's stubbornness from the day before either and weren't happy about Poplar Beach either. However, Poplar Beach was indeed more skilled than Blue River. With him, the record they would set would definitely be higher. Seniors, are we going? Poplar Beach was trembling with excitement. Let's go. Changing Spring didn't say anything more. They began setting the record as soon as they got to Desolate Land. It was just a low-level dungeon. They were also familiar with it, so there wasn't a need for a lot of leading. The atmosphere was heavy the entire time as they pushed their way through the dungeon. It was only when they got to the final boss, where they needed better coordination, did they begin to warn each other more. Even so, the heavy atmosphere didn't lighten up. It seemed like only Poplar Beach was full of spirit. The other 4 seemed somewhat spiritless. Their final time was still a bit worse than the original record, making them feel quite dissatisfied. Seniors, if we just casually go at it, we'll break the record. If we just practice a bit more, we'll definitely break it. Poplar Beach wasn't discouraged and encouraged them. You 3, come here. Changing Spring went to one side. He called over Flying Brushstroke, Chilling Nightfall, and Dawn of Ice. Poplar Beach was startled. It was obvious they were excluding him. What was this guy saying in private? Poplar Beach felt gloomy, but he didn't show it. He mindlessly attacked nearby monsters. He raised his volume to the maximum level and almost went crazy hearing the angry yells of the monsters, but he wasn't able to hear what they were saying. What's wrong with you 3? Changing Spring's tone was serious. In the end, of the 3 characters, one head turned left, one turned right, one looked up at the sky. This movement could be done by changing the camera angle. I say, you're not actually doubting Blue River, are you? Chilling Nightfall said with his head turned left. Nonsense, how could I do that? Changing Spring said. It wasn't like Blue Bridge's reasoning made no sense, Dawn of Ice said with his head looking up at the sky. I know, Changing Spring sighed. Was it just that you weren't happy with his attitude? Flying Brushstroke said with his head turned right. Stupid B** starred, F** CK off, do you think I'm you? Changing Spring said. Oh? In any case, this is the only step we can take, Changing Spring said. What do you mean? If we did as Bluebridge said and chose to reach an agreement with Lord Grimm, then we'd be acting too hasty. If the news spread, what would the guild members think? With that punk Poplar Beach, things might become even messier. That's why we definitely can't suddenly come to an agreement with Lord Grimm, Changing Spring said. But why do you replace Bluebridge? Even if this was something that he didn't want to do, I believe that he would still go all out. That Poplar Beach looks so pleased with himself. I admit that he's a bit more skilled than Bluebridge, but it's only by a bit. Flying Brushstroke was someone who wasn't afraid to say what his opinions were. Whether he was happy or not, he wouldn't hide it. A bit better is just one of the reasons. More importantly, we have to consider whether Lord Grimm really can break our record. With Poplar Beach, we've shut his group up. Later, if we ever have to make a negotiation with Lord Grimm again, they won't be as arrogant, Changing Spring said. Flying Brushstroke heard this and stared blankly. Chilling nightfall followed. Then what if Lord Grimm isn't able to break our record? Then that means Blue Bridge was wrong. What else could that mean? Changing Spring plainly said. Dawn of Ice gasped. A well-thought-out long-term strategy, Flying Brushstroke said. That's why I'm the guild leader and not you. Changing Spring wasn't polite. Okay then, everyone cheer up. F***CK, if Blue Bridge was here, he'd definitely be more spirited than you three. If we don't set the record today, then I'll have you guys squat here in the 10th server and never return. Ha 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 ha, we just need more practice for that record. If we don't set it this afternoon, we'll definitely be able to set it tonight. The four laughed and then headed towards the entrance. We're going, they called out to Poplar Beach. Poplar Beach was a bit puzzled. He could clearly feel that after their private conversation, their tones seemed to have changed. What happened? On their second run, the previous heavy atmosphere suddenly went away. Their communication cleared up as well. Their way through the dungeon went smoothly, yet there were still problems when they got to Toya. Even though they beat the record, they had only improved it by 5 seconds, far from what they wanted. Minnesota, this isn't good. We were only able to beat it by a bit. We haven't gotten the results we want and we're about to level up with the experience reward, Flying Brushstroke cursed. Besides getting a purple equipment as a reward, they would also get a lot of experience. What are you afraid of? There are plenty of characters for you to use. Continue setting. On their third run, they made a major mistake on a mob of monsters. However, none of them cared. Right now, they wanted to improve the record and the only place they would improve on was their coordination against the final boss Toya. They had finished their 3 runs, but they hadn't gotten the time they wanted. These runs could be considered as practice. We'll go again at midnight. Right now, come with me to the other 9 servers and practice. You all have your account cards, right? Changing Spring said. Chapter 173, He's no good for dungeoning. Changing Spring was clearly taking this seriously. Blue Brook Guild had power in every one of Glory's 10 servers. Changing Spring had contacted the guild leaders of each server a while ago and sent the level 30 accounts to the 5 players. At this moment, they were going to begin in the 9th server. With 3 chances in every server, they began their slow practice. Every run would be within 30 minutes, which meant they could clear the dungeon twice per hour. From 3 in the afternoon to 12 at night, Blue Brook Guild's strongest team ran Desolate Land 18 times, making them feel like vomiting just at the mention of the 2 words, Desolate Land. However, the results made them happy. The coordination between the 5 of them grew better and better and their ability to suppress Toya also increased as well. No one in any of the servers had ever placed so much value into researching Desolate Land. Starting from the 7th server, the 5-man team began to break records. In the 6th and 5th servers, they put the final record under Blue Brook Guild's name. Unfortunately, these were old servers, so not many paid attention to these low-level dungeon records. Rest for half an hour. At 12:30, we'll go back to the 10th server and set the record, Changing Spring said to the 4 other team members. At 12 o'clock midnight, the dungeon entries in every server refreshed. They had been running the dungeon so much that their vision had become somewhat blurry. Resting was a necessity. They had to at least get some food to eat. While they were running Desolate Land, they didn't have any time to eat. After resting for half an hour, the 5 characters showed up at the 10th server's Desolate Land. Coincidentally, when these 5 players went online, they saw a character with the name Lord Grimm outside of the dungeon entrance with his team. The record had already been broken? That was the first thought that flashed by in Changing Spring's mind. He immediately opened up dungeon leaderboards and checked. The record they had set in the afternoon was still at the top. He looked up and saw that Poplar Beach was walking towards Lord Grimm. "You're Lord Grimm?" Poplar Beach's tone was always extremely arrogant, always making others feel unhappy. When Yishu heard this voice, he turned Lord Grimm around and saw the sign Blue Brook Guild next to the name Cloud Listening Blade. "Who are you?" Yishu asked. "I'm called Poplar Beach," Poplar Beach said. A loud laugh suddenly interrupted. "Not only is this guy illiterate, he can't count either." His name clearly has 3 words, but doesn't Poplar Beach only have 2? Is he stupid? Poplar Beach turned furious. Without any warning, he used sword draw. How could Steamed Bun Invasion not be able to dodge this? He jumped backwards with a whoa and without any warning, countered with a brick. Poplar Beach deliberately showed off his skill by immediately raised his sword up and used guard. However, Steamed Bun Invasion had quickly rushed forward after using brick and initiated with sand toss. Poplar Beach hadn't expected that Steamed Bun Invasion would be so quick. He hastily leapt backwards and rolled, however, dodging this sand toss would be difficult. But as a player who dared to contend to be one of Blue Brook Guild's 5 grade experts, Poplar Beach indeed had some skill. Although it was close, Poplar Beach was able to dodge in time. He immediately raised his hands and used triple slash. Triple slash was an upward, downward, and horizontal slash performed in quick succession and was executed much faster than the speed at which normal attacks could be chained. Poplar Beach's dodge and counter was completed in a single breath, putting Steamed Bun Invasion as the one in the difficult situation this time. Steamed Bun Invasion hastily leapt back twice and avoided the first 2 slashes, but it didn't look like there would be enough time to dodge the 3rd slash. Poplar Beach was laughing in his heart when he realized that his 3rd slash had hit nothing but air. Steamed Bun Invasion had crouched to dodge the attack. Poplar Beach wasn't able to pull back in time. Steamed Bun Invasion got up and grabbed Poplar Beach's throat with a strangle. Level 30 characters only had so many skills. Steamed Bun Invasion had become extremely familiar with his class. With one hand holding onto Poplar Beach's throat, his other hand immediately used brick again, hitting the back of Poplar Beach's head with a whirl of his arm. Taking advantage of Poplar Beach's dizzy condition, Steamed Bun Invasion swiftly circled around to behind his opponent and uppercutted, launching his opponent into the air. Steamed Bun Invasion quickly followed up with a knee attack. F***CK off, Steamed Bun Invasion shouted and kneed his opponent's back. If this was just a normal knee attack to the back, then Poplar would have only been pushed back. However, because Poplar Beach was in the air, Poplar Beach would be sent flying away. However, Steamed Bun Invasion's prediction was wrong. After all, Poplar Beach was an expert. He took advantage of the opportunity to quick recover. His character rolled forward and then immediately turned around to counter with a sword draw. By the time the sword aura had arrived, because it was so sudden, Steamed Bun Invasion wasn't able to dodge in time. In the end, he heard a crash. Lord Grimm's myriad manifestation umbrella had opened up in front of him. The sword aura hit the umbrella without a metallic ring and dissipated. After blocking this attack, the myriad manifestation umbrella immediately closed. Poplar Beach clearly wasn't happy with how Steamed Bun Invasion had kicked him. Right as he was about to rush forward again, Changing Spring's character blocked him off. On the other side, Steamed Bun Invasion wasn't happy either with how he had nearly been hit by the sword draw. He also wanted to go up, until when he heard Yi Shu shout, "Steamed Bun! Don't be so hasty," Changing Spring warned in a heavy tone to Poplar Beach. The previous sand toss you used wasn't good. Why were you so hasty in using sand toss? On this side, the atmosphere was much lighter. Yi Shu was lecturing Steamed Bun Invasion. I wanted to take advantage of the fact that his guard was on cooldown, Steamed Bun Invasion said. Guard only works against physical attacks. Sand toss is magic damage. You even know the cooldown for guard, how do you not know this? Yi Shu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Oh, so it's like that, Steamed Bun Invasion felt unsure. He looked around left and right. They didn't have any blade masters on their side, so he looked towards the other side. Hey, can you tell me what the description for guard is? Poplar Beach and Changing Springs stared blankly. They were in such a tense situation right now. What type of question was this? In the end, they heard Steamed Bun Invasion say, "Oh shoot. I forgot. He's illiterate. He probably can't read the words. I'm going to kill him." Poplar Beach jumped out ready to fight. However, this time Yi Shu moved his Lord Grimm forward, blocking him as he said, "Don't be hasty, don't be hasty. I don't think you're illiterate, but who are you guys?" Changing Spring, Blue Brook Guild's guild leader, Changing Spring's character went forward to speak. Oh. Steamed Bun, Yi Shu immediately warned Steamed Bun Invasion. He knew that Steamed Bun was definitely about to say that this person was also illiterate. Blue Brook Guild's guild leader, Yi Shu repeated. He had already figured out what was going on and laughed. Are you here to set the record? Correct, Changing Spring said. It must have been difficult for Senior to have come from so far away, Yi Shu said. It's all because of you, Changing Spring said. Haha, I'm very competitive, so you guys are going to have to try very hard, Yi Shu laughed. It sounds like you're very confident, Changing Spring said. How so? It was you who told Blue River that we wouldn't be able to compete against you, right? Changing Spring asked. I think so. You punk, you're too arrogant. Do you dare duel me? Poplar Beach shouted. Changing Spring calmly stood to the side and didn't stop him. Blue River didn't come. Yi Shu suddenly asked this random question. No, Changing Spring said. Then you guys should call Blue River over, Yi Shu said. If we're talking about PK, then this person is probably a bit better than Blue River. But for dungeoning, Blue River is more steady and would be better in terms of teamwork. Everyone heard this and stared blankly. They didn't know how well Lord Grimm understood Blue River, but they were certain that this was his first time seeing Poplar Beach. With just that short exchange, he could already see how skilled Poplar Beach was. What are you saying? Fight me, Poplar Beach shouted. See, he knows this too, Yi Shu said to Changing Spring. Let him go wild in the arena and let Blue River set the records. How could Poplar Beach take this? He drew his sword and rushed forward. Steamed Bun Invasion was about to welcome him, but this time, Changing Spring didn't just stand there. He roared, stop right there. Poplar Beach heard this and immediately halted. After staring blankly, Steamed Bun Invasion stopped as well, seeing that his opponent wasn't moving. He then heard Yi Shu follow up, correct, don't be hasty. If you really want to fight me, then you'd at least have to use your main account. Changing Spring, Flying Brushstroke, Chilling Nightfall, stared foolishly. To them, Poplar Beach was already a very arrogant guy. But Lord Grimm was even more arrogant. He actually dared to fight against Poplar Beach's main account with his level 30 character? That was a 40-level difference. Both being equally arrogant, Poplar Beach was someone Blue River could never get along with. However, it seemed like this Lord Grimm was someone who Blue River revered. They were still puzzled over this, when they heard Poplar Beach reply back with a laugh, smart. If you fight my main account with your level 30 account, then it won't matter if you lose. Do you really think I'd fall for such a stupid trick? I don't need my main account. I'll fight you with this level 30 account. Don't worry, I won't be bullying you with this low-leveled account. I'll borrow a random level 70 account to fight with you, Yi Shu said. A low-level account bullying a high-level account? Everyone began to sweat. Lord Grimm had made low-leveled sound like an advantage though. Good, where to? Poplar Beach asked. Up to you. We're going to go dungeoning first. Let's meet again later, Yi Shu said. Chapter 174, Challenge Ignored. Lord Grimm's group turned around and entered the dungeon as if nothing had happened. Poplar Beach was stomping his feet in fury. It was too late to prevent them from going. It only took them a few steps to enter the dungeon. Changing Spring was still calm. After watching Lord Grimm's team enter, the only thing he could do was calmly call out, we'll begin as well. Okay, 3 of them answered back. Poplar Beach, on the other hand, clearly hadn't recovered yet. Poplar, we're going to set the record now. Focus. Don't forget why we're here, Changing Spring reminded Poplar Beach. Soon after, the 5 of them entered the dungeon and pushed through as they had practiced. However, Poplar Beach was still angry. When they began clearing the small mobs, the team's tempo was a complete mess. This guy clearly wasn't in the right mindset. Changing Spring, who had reminded him before they had entered, didn't say a word. On the contrary, Flying Brushstroke couldn't watch anymore and opened his mouth to remind Poplar Beach. But he had only shouted the name, when Changing Spring interrupted him. Forget about it, Changing Spring said, let him vent his anger or he'll continue playing like this. Flying Brushstroke stared blankly for a bit. After recalling what Poplar Beach's personality was like, he let the matter go. The other 2 didn't say anything either. Poplar Beach was completely out of sync with the team. Their advance through the dungeon was not going the way they wanted it to go. That Lord Grimm, did he intentionally provoke Poplar to affect our performance? Flying Brushstroke said. I don't think so, Chilling Nightfall said. Poplar being angry is just temporary. The competition for the record is different than the competition in the arena. If we're not able to do it today, then we can try it again tomorrow. We just have to find new accounts and do it. Do you really think he'll provoke us every time like this? Then what was the point of him spouting so much nonsense? Does he really think that Blue Bridge is better than Poplar Beach? Flying Brushstroke said. What do you guys think? Chilling Nightfall asked the other three. Poplar Beach was on the field with them, so it wasn't easy to privately discuss this issue. In order to do so, they whispered to each other whenever they crossed each other's path when fighting the monsters. I think Blue Bridge's dungeoning is extremely consistent. However, if you said that Poplar Beach was worse than Blue Bridge, that wouldn't necessarily be true. We've worked with him for a day and we all saw how he performed. Poplar Beach coordinates well us too. It's hard to say whether or not Blue Bridge is better. No, Dawn of Ice, who hadn't spoken up in a long time, commented. But at least in this type of situation, I don't think Blue Bridge would be affected so emotionally like Poplar Beach is now, Flying Brushstroke said. Could it be? Chilling Nightfall stared blankly. He had blurted out what he was thinking, but had accidentally messed up and staggered behind everyone on Poplar Beach's side. He quickly swallowed his words. What were you going to say? The other four once again crossed each other's path. Flying Brushstroke immediately asked. Could it be that Lord Grimm had provoked Poplar Beach in order for us to see what Poplar Beach's weakness was? Chilling Nightfall said. You guys are probably thinking too much. Changing Spring found the opportunity to interject. How'd it get so complicated? From how I see it, Poplar Beach provoked them first and then the other side simply countered back, Changing Spring said. The three stared blankly. That was a very rational explanation. Don't think about it so much and just concentrate on the dungeon, Changing Spring said. Okay, the three replied. Their run this time didn't turn out well. They had reached 30 minutes. The gap between what they wanted and what they got was very big. After they exited the dungeon, Changing Spring didn't say anything. Poplar Beach wasn't an idiot. Changing Spring believed that Poplar Beach knew why their time wasn't good. Second time, Changing Spring announced dully. Poplar Beach's emotional issue had been overlooked this time. No one commented on it. This time, Poplar Beach had returned to his normal condition. However, they still made mistakes in their run. The record limit implied that their performance was flawless. A single mistake meant that the record would no longer be the limit. In a 30-minute dungeon, requiring that every person performed perfectly wasn't easy. Third time. Everyone, be more careful. Even though they made a mistake last run, with all of their practice, they were able to suppress Toya with their teamwork. Their time was close to the 10th server's previous record. They all believed that if they didn't make any mistakes, then they would definitely reach the limit. We can do it, everyone encouraged each other as they entered Desolate Land for the third time. They had advanced flawlessly this time. They didn't make a single mistake all the way up to the final boss Toya. This part was the most difficult part of Desolate Land and it was the reason why the team had run Desolate Land 18 times. Against Toya, the five coordinated perfectly. In their second run, they hadn't made any mistakes here as well. They had practiced this part all too well. 24 hours 41 minutes and 46 seconds. When the record came out, the five of them let out a long sigh of relief. This was the record limit they had wanted. It was the highest record they could make with their current ability. If they wanted to improve it, then they would need better equipment. Even though Blue River hadn't participated in the dungeon team this time, he had done his work properly. When he saw the record come out, Blue Brook Guild immediately sent members to begin bringing up a discussion in the World Channel. They were naturally trying to repair the recent damage to their image. They had already done this yesterday, so this time, they were trying to nail it in and follow up their victory with another. Lord Grimm. The record will be here. We'll be waiting for you to break it. Amidst the countless messages that popped up, this challenge came out. It was sent by Poplar Beach. Poplar Beach spammed the message over and over again, but there was no reply from Lord Grimm. In the end, when they looked over the recent messages in the world chat, they discovered that it wasn't that Lord Grimm hadn't replied, it was just that it was similar to Changing Springs, GFY, go F***ck yourself, and was too short, so they had missed it. Lord Grimm's reply was a short 3 words long, when I'm free. Seeing this reply, Poplar Beach spat out blood in anger. He continued to spam the message, challenging him to break the record, challenging him to duel him. This time, Poplar Beach was on the lookout. He paid careful attention to the messages. Except, Lord Grimm's reply hadn't changed. It was still the 3 words, when I'm free. Poplar Beach really wanted to smash his head into the screen to enter the game world and strangle Lord Grimm. But the reality was that it wasn't possible, so he could only stare blankly at the screen. Should I go ask, when are you free? What if Lord Grimm doesn't give me face? Poplar Beach worried. This guy is really persistent. He's been messaging for almost an hour already. In the internet cafe, Tang Ru said this to Yishu when she passed by to refill her teacup with water. They had just finished running Desolate Land 3 times. They had used an hour more than Blue Brook Guild's team did. This was because Yishu was teaching them a new strategy. The new strategy wasn't as efficient as the record for Boneyard, but was actually more difficult to carry out. Tang Ru felt that she wasn't good enough. She understood the preciseness of this new strategy, but because they weren't able to do enough damage, they weren't able to bring out the expected results. Tang Ru had a faint feeling that if they had a 5th player with them, then with the 5th player's firepower, they would be able to bring out the desired results. As a result, after finishing the dungeon runs, Tang Ru brought up Poplar Beach's spamming again. Yeah, it must be tough for the guy, Yishu said. What are you doing? Tang Ru looked toward Yishu's screen and saw that he was checking out shops in the Kanji City market streets. You're shopping again? What do you plan on buying? Tang Ru asked. Steamed bun and your sets are pretty much completed, but cleansing mist is still missing a few, so I'm helping her look, Yishu said. Oh, do you have enough money? I still have some, Tang Ru said. You should save that money for potions, Yishu laughed. That? Desolate Land record. We should go back and take the record back, Tang Ru said. At this moment, the first 3 places in the Desolate Land records didn't have their name on it. And because of Poplar Beach's constant yelling, even if Tang Ru didn't say anything out loud, she was already on the verge of exploding out in her heart. Of course, Yishu said. When? Tang Ru asked. When we get our 5th team member, Yishu said. 5th member? Who is it going to be this time? Tang Ru asked. Someone you've talked with before, Yishu said. Who? Tang Ru was puzzled. Ashen Moon, do you remember him? Yishu asked. Oh, that person. I remember him. He was the worst of the bunch, but he was still better than me, Tang Ru said. Everyone in Team Tiny Herb had beaten her without any suspense. They were after all pros. His name is Chao Yifan. If we're talking about his ability to duel, then he isn't very outstanding. However, his true strength lies in his ability to work in a team, Yishu said. When is he coming? Tang Ru asked. Soon. If things go well, then he might even be here tonight, Yishu looked at his friends list. The Ghostblade 1-inch Ash was online 24/7 these days. His level had shot up like an arrow and he was now level 29. Chapter 175, 3 chances waiting for you. Chao Yifan's 1-inch Ash soared from level 23 to level 30 in a mere several days. This sort of leveling speed was even quicker than the Big Guild's 24-hour online routine. The Big Guild's characters were always at the front of the 10th server. You had to rely on yourself to resolve your own problems. Even though Yishu and his group's characters were a bit behind, their situation was about the same. They were slower because they weren't able to play as much. The power leveling done by Chao Yifan's 1-inch Ash didn't lose to the amount of playtime the Big Guild's leading characters players had. For his character to level up so quickly, it was because his 1-inch Ash started later. The situation was similar to those in the old servers. A character in any old server would definitely level faster than one in the new server. The reason was simple, there were people to carry them. Even though the 10th server didn't have as many high-leveled characters as the old servers, for late starters like 1-inch Ash, there would definitely be high-leveled characters to help him. The reason he was able to fully utilize the quickest substitution leveling was because of this. Yishu naturally knew about this. When he saw how quick 1-inch Ash leveled, he had figured out that the character was being power leveled. As a result, Yishu conducted a special training in Desolate Land today. That's why after they finished their practice in Desolate Land, he urged everyone repeatedly to not level today. If they continued leveling, they would reach level 31. Once they went past the level limit for the dungeon, the record they would set wouldn't be accepted by the system. I hope he'll come early, Tang Ru lamented, while carrying her teacup back to her seat. In-game, Poplar Beach spammed messages in the World Channel for another half an hour, while Yishu was just doing his own thing. Yishu would sometimes glance at the messages. The ones he didn't see, well, he didn't see. He clearly didn't care about them. The night passed. They went to sleep when the sun rose. Club Tiny Herb. Pro players obviously couldn't have their days turn into nights like that, especially for someone like Chow Yifan, who was on the verge of being kicked out. He didn't dare make any mistakes. He would follow the club's scheduled break and practice time. During daytime practice, he didn't dare get distracted, but once his free time came during the night, he immediately began researching ghost blades. He would look at guides, watch recordings, and even bought 2 ghost blades to experiment with personally. However, the character he was looking forward to playing the most was 1-inch Ash, because with this character, he could be instructed personally by God Yi Chu. When he thought of this, Chow Yifan felt indescribably happy. He hadn't been sleeping much recently, but he didn't feel tired. Every day he would sleep late and wake up early, yet he was still in glowing spirits. Even during the day, when he practiced his assassin, he would feel that his performance had improved a bit, though he didn't know whether or not that was because of his mental state. And today was the scheduled day when he would get his account back. In other words, this was the day when his 1-inch Ash hit level 30. He could finally go to the 10th server and look for God Yi Chu for his coaching. In the afternoon, Chow Yifan got a little distracted and contacted the substitution leveler early. After confirming that there weren't any problems, he felt even more ecstatic. What happened, Yifan? You seem really happy. During afternoon practice, his good friend Gao Yingji saw Chow Yifan's happiness and couldn't help but ask. Hee, am I really? Chow Yifan foolishly grinned. Are you okay? Gao Yingji extended his hand to touch Chow Yifan's forehead. Nothing's wrong. I'm completely fine. Hurry, practice is starting. Chow Yifan dodged Gao Yingji's extended right hand. He retracted his foolish grin and sat down in front of his computer. But after a short while, the corners of his mouth began to rise up slightly again. This hadn't escaped from Gao Yingji's eyes. Gao Yingji obviously knew that his good friend was hanging on a balance and that he was under a lot of pressure. Even though he was the club's new star, reputed as the successor to God Jiaxi, he didn't have much authority. There was really no way for him to help Chow Yifan. Seeing how Chow Yifan's mood had been so unusually good, he was worried that something might have happened. When afternoon practice ended, Chow Yifan hastily ran back to his room. Gao Yingji wasn't able to find an opportunity to talk to him. As an important new member in the club, he would often have extra practice under God Jiaxi's instructions. Just as he was planning on chasing down Chow Yifan, team captain Wang Jiaxi had called for him. By the time extra practice had ended, it was already dinner time. Gao Yingji rushed to the club's dining hall, but didn't see Chow Yifan. When he asked his other friends in the team, no one had noticed someone as invisible as Chow Yifan. Surprisingly, no one had an answer to whether or not he had come to the dining hall. Gao Yingji ran to Chow Yifan's room. Similarly, Chow Yifan wasn't there either. Gao Yingji felt that something was amiss and didn't know why his friend was acting like so. He didn't want to report it to the team captain, so he hurriedly called Chow Yifan's cell phone number. Chow Yifan picked up, and said that he had nothing to do after eating dinner, so he had gone outside to take a stroll. I'm coming back, Chow Yifan said to Gao Yingji. He had gone out to retrieve his account card. Even though he could have received it by mail the next day, Chow Yifan couldn't wait any longer. However, he couldn't let anyone in the club know about this, which was why he had to quietly slip away. Though for someone as invisible as him, it wasn't that hard. Who would have thought that his good friend had felt something was amiss? Chow Yifan felt somewhat moved, but he wasn't planning on telling Gao Yingji the situation. This was his own choice. It had nothing to do with anyone else. Even though Gao Yingji cared about him, he knew that Gao Yingji wasn't able to help him. If he kept on dragging Gao Yingji along, he might even cause trouble for his friend's future. By the time Chow Yifan had returned from picking up his account card, it was already 9 at night. Similar to how no one had noticed him leaving, no one had noticed him coming back. Just as he was about to open the door to his room, a voice suddenly called out to him. He turned around and saw Gao Yingji walking over. Yingji, did you just finish your extra practice? Chow Yifan greeted him. Yeah, Gao Yingji replied. He then asked casually, where'd you go? I just walked around randomly, Chow Yifan said. Did something happen? Gao Yingji said. Me? How could something have happened to me? Chow Yifan laughed. It's getting late. You should go to sleep. I'll be going back, Chow Yifan said as he opened the door. Oh, Gao Yingji answered back in this way. In the end, he was still an introvert who wasn't too good at conversations. He could see that Chow Yifan had something on his mind, but he didn't know how to ask about it, so he had been blocked out like this. Gao Yingji stared blankly for a good while. In the end, he could only let out a sigh and return to his room. Chow Yifan went into his room and turned on his computer. He immediately opened up Glory and logged into his 1-inch Ash account. When he came online, he saw Lord Grimm online and felt a wave of excitement wash over him. He cautiously sent a message, Senior, I'm already level 30. Oh, pretty fast. The reply was quick. Let's dungeon together at night. Is going past midnight okay? Yi Shu followed up and asked him. No problem, Chow Yifan responded excitedly. Good, do you still remember how to run Desolate Land? Yi Shu asked. I remember, Chow Yifan said. Good, but don't lie. Our goal is to set this server's record, Yi Shu said. Really? Then I should go and review it again. If he was any other pro player, then he would have put Desolate Land as completely beneath him. But Chow Yifan didn't dare be negligent. This was his habit of being extremely cautious at work. Okay, take a look then. We only have 3 chances, Yi Shu said. Why? Because besides you, after 3 more runs, our team will probably hit level 31, Yi Shu said. Chow Yifan checked the 10th server dungeon leaderboards. The 24 hours 41 minutes and 46 seconds Desolate Land record made even him, a pro player, startled. The record is really high, Chow Yifan said to Yi Shu in astonishment. It is. You could even said that it's the current limit, Yi Shu said. Unless they have better equipment. But for a new server, their current equipment is pretty much at the limit as well, Yi Shu replied. Then what are going to do? Chow Yifan asked. 3 chances. As long as you can assimilate into the team, breaking the record won't be a problem, Yi Shu said. 3 times, Chow Yifan didn't have confidence. Confidence in himself was his biggest weakness. Relax. It won't be a problem if it's you. I believe that you can do it, which is why I specifically left 3 chances waiting for you, Yi Shu said. Waiting for me? Chow Yifan was startled. Right, without your Phantom Demon, breaking this record would be really difficult, Yi Shu said. But I'm still not very familiar with Phantom Demons yet, Chow Yifan panicked. 3 chances should be enough for you to get familiar enough at least in this dungeon. Don't forget, you're a pro player too, Yi Shu said. You're a pro player too. These simple words should have just been simple words. However, Chow Yifan had never heard these words before. He was used to being invisible. He was used to always being a sub and never going up on stage. He was used to always watching enviously in the shadows as Gao Yingji was personally instructed by the team captain. Being in the champion team only gave him more pressure. While his other teammates were proud of themselves, he was always worried that he wasn't good enough to be on the team. You're a pro player too. This type of assurance, this type of acknowledgement, didn't come easy for Chow Yifan. And having this coming out of God Yichu's mouth made these words carry even more weight. Seeing these words, Chow Yifan's pent-up grievances gushed out. Tears began streaming out from his eyes. He replied, determined, I am 3 times as more than enough.